What if you could buy Apple, Nvidia, and the QQQ ETF on-chain 24/7 and use them as collateral in DeFi? That's exactly what Ondo just launched, and today we'll find out whether this real-world asset king can turn your stack into $1 million portfolio. Stick around because we'll crunch the exact math for you to retire as a millionaire. Also, I noticed many of you who watch my videos are still not subscribed, so if you're enjoying this type of crypto content, hit the subscribe button and help me grow the airdrops.com channel. Now, let's get started with Ondo. This is not a financial advice, always do your own research. Ondo Finance launched in 2021, founded by Nathan Allman, a former Goldman Sachs digital asset team member. The mission was simple but also ambitious. Bring institutional grade financial products on-chain by tokenizing real-world assets like US Treasuries, money market funds, and now publicly traded stocks and ETFs. The Ondo token itself powers governance across the ecosystem and aligns incentives for products like OUSG, which is a tokenized BlackRock fund, and USDY, a yield-bearing stablecoin style product. The Ondo project runs on Ethereum and integrates with multiple blockchains. But the real tech story here is Ondo Chain, a dedicated layer 1 blockchain launched in February 2025, specifically designed for real-world asset tokenization, featuring validators who can stake RWAs instead of volatile crypto to secure the network. Franklin Templeton, Wellington Management, and Wisdom Tree are already on board as design advisors, lending what I see as serious institutional credibility. Let me give you the straight analysis now on the tokenomics and the supply of Ondo. It has a fixed max supply of 10 billion tokens, but only about a third is circulating today, the rest still locked. That means if you get in now, you'll be early in the supply curve, but it also means serious dilution incoming. Roughly 52% of the tokens are now for ecosystem growth, 33% are allocated for protocol development, about 13% for private investors, and 2% for the public sale. Starting January 2026, about 1.94 billion Ondo unlocks each January for 3 years, then roughly 792 million more in January 2029. 4 big unlocks waves where circulating supply jumps sharply, so keep that in mind. More than half of the supply sits with the foundation, ecosystem funds, and early investors, so those dates can become landmines if demand is weak and big holders decide to sell. On the upside, Ondo can use protocol fees from treasuries, dollars, and stocks flowing through its products to buy back and burn tokens or boost staking rewards and incentives. Simply put, real revenue can help offset that dilution if adoption keeps growing. Time to look at the performance of the project now. Ondo doesn't compete on raw transactions per second like Solana or Ethereum scaling solutions. Instead, the performance metric that matters here is total value locked, how much real capital flows into tokenized products. As of December 2025, Ondo Finance holds approximately $1.7 to $1.8 billion in total value locked across all products, making it one of the top 3 RWA protocols globally. TVL started 2025 at $600 million in January, crossed $1 billion by March, and has been climbing toward the $2 billion target throughout Q4. The core of the Ondo flywheel is USDY. It's a yield-bearing dollar asset that routes real-world treasury and money market yields on-chain, competing directly with USDC and USDT by offering actual yield instead of zero. My observation is that institutions like it because the yield comes from familiar sources, US Treasuries and money market instruments, just with better settlement rails and DeFi composability. Additionally, USDY supply and adoption have been growing steadily, anchoring more users and capital into the Ondo ecosystem. On a different note, OUSG and other fund wrappers plug directly into large managers like BlackRock with over $95 million allocated into the BUIDL tokenized treasury fund. Then in September 2025, Ondo launched Ondo Global Markets, the platform bringing tokenized US stocks and ETFs on-chain. Within the first week, it accumulated over $240 million in TVL. The platform is bringing tokenized US stocks and ETFs on-chain, offering over 100 securities like Apple, Nvidia, and QQQ to non-US investors. That's 24/7 on Ethereum and BNB chain, with Solana support coming soon. Moving on to the decentralization aspect of the project and what some underlying risks may be. In this regard, Ondo is the governance token of the Ondo DAO, which steers protocol upgrades, fee parameters, and asset onboarding across the Ondo ecosystem, including products like Flux Finance. That makes the system more compliant and institution-friendly, but less trustless than a fully on-chain DeFi protocol. The biggest risk on the token side is concentration, plus massive scheduled unlocks that we mentioned earlier. And while early investors like Pantera Capital, Digital Currency Group, and Founders Fund bring credibility and networks, they also hold allocations that matter when they unlock. So their time horizon is a key variable, and I advise you to pay attention to it. On the regulatory front, Ondo has already made it through a US SEC probe that closed in December 2025 with no enforcement action. That's the biggest regulatory de-risking event yet for tokenized RWAs. On top of that, Ondo published a formal roadmap letter to the SEC that same month, outlining its vision for compliant tokenized securities, showing proactive engagement with regulators instead of trying to just dodge them. The previous month, November 2025, Ondo secured EU-wide approval, which is another major regulatory green light. That makes 2 major regulatory wins within just a month. In my mind, this completely changed the risk profile from maybe this gets shut down to okay, this can now scale long term. Competition from other tokenization platforms is also real, yet it also validates the space. If RWAs do become a tens of trillions on-chain category, there's room for multiple winners, and Ondo's job is to keep growing TVL, broadening its asset lineup, and deepening integrations so that those scheduled unlocks look less like overhang and more like fuel for a larger, more decentralized holder base. Here comes my personal favorite part, where we try to give a definitive answer to the key question. How many Ondo tokens would I need to retire as a millionaire? First, let's do a short rundown on the price action. Right now, Ondo trades at about 50 cents with a market cap of $1.5 billion. The price history shows Ondo has had a 1700% pump since launch, then a pullback of 66%. After that, it enjoyed another leg up, hitting a new all-time high of $2.14. Since then, the price has been in a correction, currently at a 77% discount. You know, the golden mantra, buy low, sell high. Well, now might be that low. So let's see my 3 scenarios to become a millionaire from Ondo. Starting off with the closest one, the bear case scenario. Let's say Ondo hits the previous all-time high at 214. That would be over 4x on our money. We would need to buy 467,000 Ondo tokens, and that would cost us $223,000 right now. My next target for Ondo is $3.50. That's my base case scenario, where we gain over 7x on our investment of $140,000, which would grant us 285,000 tokens. And lastly, the bull case scenario, the most outlandishly optimistic of them all, is for Ondo to reach $10. That would be the spectacular 20x on our money right now, and we would need to buy 100,000 tokens for just under $50,000. In this best case scenario, the market cap of Ondo with the full circulating supply in 2029 would be $100 billion. For comparison, BNB is at around that market cap right now, so it's a very reasonable target for Ondo once RWA gets a piece of that multi-trillion market cap. Now, drop your price target in the comments, guys, and let's see how you size up compared to my 3 scenarios. After taking the time to analyze the Ondo project and prospects ahead of it, here's the real takeaway. Ondo is not a meme coin. It's a leveraged bet that tokenized treasuries, tokenized dollars, and tokenized stocks become a multi-trillion dollar on-chain market, and that Ondo ends up owning a meaningful slice of the rails that move that capital. For that to happen, Ondo's biggest catalyst is its deep tie-in with institutional capital, especially through BlackRock's BUIDL fund and the September 2025 launch of tokenized stocks via Ondo Global Markets. On top of that, the SEC probe closure in December 2025 removes a major regulatory overhang, and I view this as a huge green light momentum for expansion. On the exchange side, Ondo is listed on all major centralized platforms, boosting liquidity and accessibility for retail traders like you and me. My favorite place to trade Ondo actually is the CoinEx exchange, and only now they're giving away a $25 bonus if you register from the link in the description. CoinEx has been on the market for almost 10 years, and you can spot trade over 1,000 tokens there. You might be more of a high risk, high reward type of trader, so you can go for leverage trading, long or short Ondo at any time. CoinEx is super easy to use, so go on and register from the link in the description and snatch that $25 bonus. See, as institutions get more comfortable holding tokenized treasuries, stocks, and ETFs, the underlying products scale first, and I see Ondo capturing value as the governance and incentive layer via fees, influence, and speculative premium. Not to mention the Global Markets Alliance integrating Binance Wallet, Blockchain.com, Trust Wallet, and others further expands distribution and embeds Ondo into the infrastructure layer of on-chain finance. So that's all very positive to me. This was my take on Ondo, guys, and if this breakdown helped you size up the opportunity or spot the risks or both, then smash the like button, subscribe, and share this with your crypto friends. Now, I invite you to tell me the next coin you want to see analyzed here on the airdrops.com channel. Until then, take care. I'll see you soon. Ciao.